Amazon has once again changed the rules, and the old way of shipping an inventory to Amazon can actually get your privileges of shipping any inventory at all completely suspended. So, we're going to be covering this. This is hot off the press. I will be updating both of my courses today on the new rule because it was such a commonplace tactic to use. Now, the reality is that a lot of times when you create a shipment on Amazon, they ask you to send your inventory not to one warehouse, but to two or three, possibly even four. I don't know if I've ever seen four, but that costs you a lot more money than just shipping all of your products from your place or your supplier in China and shipping it all to one warehouse. Now, the strategy for fixing that was actually just to manipulate the numbers, tell Amazon you were sending in a lot more inventory than you actually were, and that way you would be able to get as many units as you wanted shipped to just one warehouse, and then you would just cancel the other three shipments to three other warehouses. Now, with the new rule, Amazon's not allowing that. You can no longer cancel parts of multi-destination shipments. You can no longer misroute shipments. And you can't send in just 70 units when Amazon was told that they were getting 100. So this is one of those things where there is actually a way that you can get around it and still have all your inventory shipped to one warehouse. Because in most cases, this is going to be a lot cheaper than for you to send to two or three different warehouses. Especially if you're shipping from China, then it gets a lot more expensive to try and ship your product to two or three different warehouses. It just gets so much more complicated too. So it can actually be done with this thing called the inventory placement service. It's just a couple of changes in Seller Central settings, and you can all be shipped just to one warehouse. Now, this is not going to be your first choice, but I'm sure you guys here in a second. So the way that this works is we need to let's first explain to you what this is. When you turn on inventory placement service, Amazon will guarantee that your product will all be shipped into one warehouse. So you can just create a new shipment plan, and Amazon will only show your product going to one warehouse. Now, the problem is it does cost a little bit of money per unit, but especially if you're shipping from China, this will usually be the cheapest option. So let's show you how to turn it on and then explain a little more about what it is. You're going to want to come in here to settings and go to Fulfillment by Amazon. It's going to take you to this beautiful page, and then you can actually see I currently have distributed inventory placement on, and I would just click edit here, and it's going to take me here. And now I can just choose if I want to have my inventory distributed, meaning Amazon is okay to send it to two or three different warehouses, and I have to pay for the shipping there. Or there's the inventory placement service, in which Amazon they'll gladly take all your inventory to just one warehouse, but then they're going to charge you some money to actually distribute it throughout their network, because even though you're shipping to just one warehouse, your items could often end up into 10 or 15 different warehouses in the end. Usually it'll just be like 3 or 4, but if you're shipping in enough units, you're going to get your inventory distributed all across the country to lots of Amazon's different fulfillment centers. So let's take a look at the cost to actually do this, because you're really going to need to factor this in to decide whether you want to do it. Usually the way I recommend it is you're going to come in here, you're going to turn on distributed inventory placement. Then you are going to create a shipment plan and see if you can get your inventory sent all just to one location. Because if you can, then you send it all to one location and you didn't have to pay any of these fees we're going to talk about. So click learn more over here, and you can see how much this is really going to cost you. And the reality is that it's costing you per unit. And so most of my products fit here in this 1 to 2 pounds or this over 2 pounds. So my most recent product is about 3 pounds. And so it would cost me 50 cents a unit to actually put all my product into one warehouse. So since I bought 1,000 units, it would cost me $500 to ship all of my product into just one warehouse. Now, the reality is when you're shipping product from China, often it ends up in one warehouse only, which is very, very helpful. Okay, generally my strategy is to actually, when I create a shipment, I will create a shipment like it is coming from within the state of California. Okay, guys, this is a tactic to use if you're shipping your product from China only. It should be really clear. But I will set my shipment location from somewhere within China. Now, when you do that, Amazon is going to want to ship your product to the nearest warehouse, which will be the fulfillment center in Moreno Valley. So what happens is Amazon tells me to send all 1,000 units to Moreno Valley. Well, because I'm shipping product from China to California, California is the closest place to China, okay? Especially if it's shipped, regardless of how it's shipping. And so my shipping costs are going to be less because it's closer, right? The first time I actually created a shipment from China, I created it I put in the exact address of my supplier, and then it told me to ship it all to Texas, into the Dallas warehouse. Well, guess what? Dallas is farther from China than California, so it cost me more money than it should have. So there's a little tactic for you, but really you need to decide how you're going to play this out. If you're doing arbitrage, chances are that it might actually make more sense for you guys to do the distributed, but it really depends on how many units you're sending in. With that, guys, if you want to see more really good information like this, really up to date, I update my courses every month, especially my private label one gets updated like a religion, because those things change much faster than the arbitrage. But go check out my courses below. They are way cheaper than everyone else's, and I will teach you exactly how my best students are making $5,000 a month plus on their very first products. And I'm really proud of them. Anyways, go check that out. I'll see you guys in the next video.